part 2. So what if, you know, the hypotenuse is, I don't know, 45? What if you know this is 6? What if you don't know that? And I put some ugly numbers up there, so they're going to be in decimal format. So here we go. Which one's A? A is the tall one. Which one is B? B is the base. Where's C? C is over here, and it's across from the right angle. Reminder, legs are the A and the B. And there's your L for leg. I know, pretty smart, right? So what's your formula? A squared plus B squared equals C squared. And then A would be, I don't know. Now, I'm okay with A and I'm okay with X. I'm going to leave it at A, so at least I know what I'm solving, but X if I need it. So I'm going to go back to the old one. A times A plus B times B equals C times C. I can shorten that, but I kind of like the long version, especially if you're doing this by hand. A times A is still A times A, and B is 6 times 6, and C is 45 times 45. Now, A times A is still A times A, and 6 times 6 better be 36, and if you're not sure, use your calculator, because we don't have time for mistakes. And 45 times 45, well, I don't know, I didn't have that memorized. But I have this calculator that does. I get 2025. Isn't that the triangle? Isn't that the circle and the circle? Shouldn't this circle join this team? Now, I'm not going to take the time to draw those circles and triangles because that's confusing a little, but you should recognize variable, number, number. And this number should join this number. If you cross the bridge, you change the sign. So if that's positive 36, that needs to be negative 36. You're going to bring that down, A times A. And make sure your A's have a curl, otherwise they look like 9s. That better be 0. What's 2025 minus 36? Well, I don't know, but you still have it on your screen. Minus 36. 1989. Well, what times what is 1989? So you got some options here. You can start guessing, or you can do square root. Whichever is easiest. I think you should do the square root. Because isn't A times A the same as A squared? Yeah, it is. And how do you undo a square? You take a square root. I'm okay with you drawing 2. I'm okay with you drawing one big one. The square root of A squared is A. And the square root of that, I don't know. We'll find out in a minute, though. The square root of 1989, close the door. 44.59. And, well, technicality, if he was in mode float 2, wouldn't that be... So let's go back to mode float 2. Hey, what's mode float 2? Yeah, rounds to 2 places. And if you do second enter, you can get that equation back in. Yeah, that's what I thought. 44.60. And that's inches. Or units. I don't care what you call it. But it's plain. It doesn't have any squared, cubed, any of those flavors to it. So let's go back and look what you just did. You told me the base was 6 inches. This hypotenuse is 45 inches. And this x is 44.660 inches. True. Could you find the perimeter of that? How would you find the perimeter? Wouldn't that be side plus side plus side? So wouldn't that be 40.60 plus 6 plus 45? I think that's all perimeter is. Add all those numbers up. I get 9560. Here's a good one to play with. What if I told you this piece was 7 feet long? What if I told you this area is 81 feet squared? And what if I told you find feet squared? Now, what do you notice about this math problem? Well, that one has feet squared. So does that one. What about that one? It doesn't. So you got 2 choices. Either everybody goes to feet or everybody goes to feet squared. Those are your 2 options. That's it. So you can do feet plus feet equal feet, or you can do feet squared plus feet squared equals feet squared. You can't mix them. And if you do, you get the wrong answer. This says length plus length is going to give me a length. This one says area plus area is going to give me an area. Are those the same? I don't think so. Is that a great trick question? Oh, it's a great one. How many kids will get caught on that? A bunch. But except us. We won't get caught on that. So again, those are not the same. And you can't play that they're the same. This question's definitely on your test. Not an accident. So what are you going to do? Well, if this right here is 81, I'm just going to keep the 81. I'm going to actually pick this formula because, well, two of them are already ready. I just got to fix one. Well, why rock the boat, so to speak? So I want, if this area is 81, and that's b, right? So that's a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And if you have the area to the square, you can just write down that number. That's 81. Do you have to square it? No, it is a square. When it says feet squared, it's already done. Those are the good ones. What is this going to be? I don't know. We're going to put c squared. What about 7? 7's not squared. What is the area of the square? Well, what's 7 times 7? 49. So, you got two options. Either change them out of squares or change them out of feet. Your option. I could change them to feet. Or I could do 7 squared plus, what times what's 81? 9 times 9. And what's 9 times 9? 81. What's 7 times 7? 49. And that's still c times c, or c squared. And if you notice, we're in the same place. I just shortcut. Either do feet plus feet is feet, or feet squared plus feet squared is feet squared. I think the correct terminology is add, if I can write an A, add like terms. Add like things. They have to be the same. Alright, let's continue. I'll play with this one. What's 49 plus 81? Well, 9 plus 1 is 10, carry my 1. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, plus the 1 makes it 13. And what times what's 130? I don't know. But I can take the square root of it. So the square root of 130 is 11.40. Yep, that's pretty handy. This is pretty tricky kind of question. But you just have to pay attention. Does that say squared? No. Does that one? Yes. Does that one? Yes. So this is the water. This one's the water. This one's just the length. There's a difference. To make this one the water, you have to do 7 times 7. And you get 49. Let's do another one of these. Alright. There's another one. And now I forgot a part. Feet. There you go. So what do you notice about this one? That one says feet. That one says feet. That one says feet squared. That won't work. Either they all go to feet, or they all go to feet squared. And I would say since you're looking for feet, I think I would stick with what the question is, because that'd make it safest. So I'm going to keep it at feet. So that's a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So I've got, and which one's a? This one's a. So I've got a squared. This is b. Now I can tell you this is area. This is length. And this is length. What times what's 100? 10 times 10. So I can put the 10 here and go ahead and drop the 100. I already know it. I don't actually have to, I don't need this number, but I will need this one. What's a times a? I don't know. And 23 would go here. And then you would use your calculator to fill this in. So look at what they gave me. I know this from the math problem, I got this from the math problem, and I got this from the math problem. And you can see how they kind of move them around. You don't get points by knowing that. I just need this answer. And what's 23 to the second power? Well, 23 to the second power, 529. When you move the 100 to the side, don't you cross the bridge, you change the sign? You do. And wouldn't that be 429? And how do you make that square go away? How do you make a double go away? You're going to square root it. And the square root of 429 is 2071. And again, put your curl on your A. And if you notice, they gave me x, which is x squared. They gave me the 100, which is this piece, and then they gave me the 23. This is really the length numbers, and this one is the area numbers. So that's kind of interesting to know itself. You need to know what you have, otherwise you're going to totally miss the question. Could you figure out the perimeter? Well, yeah. Couldn't you just add, and this, whoop, I forgot a part. Would that be feet or feet squared? Well, A is a length, because A squared is the area, because this one's area, and this one's length. And how do I know that so fast? Because there's a little 2 there. So that one's feet, and that's length. And that one's squared, that's area. If you were doing perimeter, wouldn't you just add the 2017 cents, the 100 and the 23? Sure you would. What if I wanted, and that was perimeter. What if I want area? Wouldn't that be base times height? Divide by 2? That's true. Base times height divide by 2. So that's going to be this number times this number divided by 2. And I think I forgot to divide by 2 on that other one. What if I wanted you to go from here to here and back? Well, wouldn't that be 23 plus 23? Sure it would. Alrighty, do one more. Alright, and the last one for this part 2. What if I ask you to find the length of AB? Now that's kind of scary. Now what are you going to do with that graph paper? Count maybe? Yeah, that's kind of cool. Is that a right triangle? Yes. Do you know any formulas for right triangle? You only know one. Which one is it? So you know A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Now if you notice they got A, B, and C also. That's really nice. They could have picked any letter, but they picked the same ones. That A is the height. If you notice, it's capital. Mine are lowercase. That B is the base. And that C is the diagonal, the hypotenuse. So how would you figure out how tall it is? What could you do? I don't know. Maybe you could count? How many boxes is that? 1, 2, 3. And let's not count wrong. 3 squared. And the base, how long is that? 1, 2, 3. And what is C squared? I don't know. It's part of the question. What's 3 to the second power? 9. And if you're not sure, type it in. And if you're sure, type it in anyway. We don't have time for 6s. What's 9 plus 9? 18. And if you're not sure, type it in. And if you're sure, type it in anyway. And how do you make that square go away? It sounds like a tree thing. Maybe a square root, maybe? And C equals the square root of 18. Now, I will tell you, that answer is correct. It's a good answer. It's not wrong. If you were in Algebra 1, that is a perfectly good answer. If you want a calculator answer, which we're in 8th grade, we want a calculator answer, the square root of 18, close the door, is 4.24. Now, if you were doing algebra or even geometry in high school, they're going to want you to take that and keep it with the square root, but simplify it. Well, what would that look like? So let's do bonus round. What's the tree for 18? 9 times 2? What's the tree for 9? 3 times 3? So would you agree 18 is 3 times 3 times 2? I agree. So 18 is 3 times 3 times 2. Alright, I want to add this piece to this video real quick. So if you had square root of 18, I did the little factor trees, and there's my answer. And so you've got the square root of 18 is 4.24. I also took the square root of 18 and just put it under the radicand. That's what that funny little square root is. And that pair of 3's can come out. There's a 2 left over, and 3 square root of 2 is also the answer. So you have 1, 2, 3 answers. And for those of you trying to keep up with this, high school, do your little factor trees, pull out pairs like a sock. Takes 2 to make a pair, so you got a pair of 3's, and then the 2 is left over. Pretty cool. Love those factor trees. Alrighty, catch the next video.